ॐ दक्षिणस्य समारम्भा शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमा अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ता स्मर्या गुरुपरम्परा श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। परिज्ञानाश्रम श्रीगुरुशङ्कर परिज्ञानाश्रम शङ्कर सद्गुरु केशववामन कृष्णपाण्डुरङ्ग आनन्द परिज्ञान गुरु सद्यो जात शङ्कर सद्गुरु गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शान्ति मंत्र। ॐ भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। In the last session, we completed the first khanda or the section of the first Mundaka. And what did we see in that? We saw the glory of Atmavidya, the parampara through which this Brahmavidya came, starting from Chaturmukha Brahma. Then we were introduced to the Guru Angiras and the Shishya Shaunaka. And then we were introduced to the question asked by the Shishya Shaunaka as to what is it that by knowing which everything else is as well known, as good as known. This was the question, and the Guru decided to answer this question by giving an explanation or an introduction of two types of Vidyas. He introduced two Vidyas, Aparavidya and Paravidya. Aparavidya, he said, was anything that dealt with karma and upasana, for which he took Veda Purva as the example. In an Upanishad, we will not find all the other material Vidyas talked about. So, what is an Aparavidya? It is a Laukika Vidya or a material science or a material Vidya where there are limited means to limited ends. This is what is called as the Aparavidya, and all the four Vedas, whose initial portions called as the Veda Purva or the Karma Kanda of all the four Vedas, were called as Aparavidya by the Upanishad. I'll tell you why it was called as Aparavidya when we come to the subject matter of the second khanda of the first Mundaka will come today. And then he said there is the higher knowledge, the highest knowledge. Apara means a lower knowledge. I'll discuss why it was called a lower knowledge again. Then he said there is a branch of knowledge called as Paravidya or the highest knowledge, which talks about what you asked for. That one thing with which the entire universe is made, that one thing which is the very content of every jiva, the jagat, and Ishvara. And it is something which takes one to the limitless or infinite end called as moksha. Therefore, it was called as Aparavidya. So, introduction of two types of vidyas came in the first section. And then the Guru went on first to talk about what is Paravidya. So it talked about in most of the verses after the initial introduction, the Upanishad first khanda of the first Mundaka, the Guru talked about Paravidya. It said Paravidya yaya aksharam adhigamyate. It is that knowledge by which this aksharam or Brahman is known. And the rest of the section was about what this Brahman is. So introduction to two types of Vidyas, a little elaboration of Paravidya and what it deals with. And ultimately it deals with that one common substance with which this entire universe is made called Aksharam, about which a greater detail was talked about. And now what happens? In the second section of the first Mundaka, the Aparavidya is going to be talked about in more detail. There's hardly any mention of Paravidya here. And after this, that is from the second Mundaka, the two sections, and the third Mundaka, the two sections are going to talk only about Paravidya. Now this one which we are entering into, that is the second section or the second khanda of the first Mundaka, is going to talk about Aparavidya. So let me first give you a basic understanding of what the Upanishad is trying to say in this particular section. And let me warn you right now that whatever is said in this section, we may feel that it is not relevant to us anymore. Because this section is talking about various rituals, the fire rituals and all those things, which we are going to really take very short time, because yes, it is no longer relevant to us. And very few people are following that kind of what has been talked about in Veda Purva, which was relevant for that time. And the same kind of Vaidika karmas, yagas and yajnas have been replaced by something else in this particular, in this particular time, in this particular yuga. So first let us see what this Aparavidya is and how does this particular section deal with the Aparavidya. Now in this section, the Upanishad says that Aparavidya is a lower kind of a Vidya. Paravidya is the higher Vidya or the highest knowledge. Aparavidya includes all the lower forms of knowledge. Why are they called as lower forms of knowledge? Because Aparavidya is something which is not going to release us from this bondage. Aparavidya is not going to lead us to moksha. It cannot directly give us moksha. But then Aparavidya is important in such a way that this Aparavidya prepares us for the final Paravidya. In this section, the Upanishad talks about the Veda Purva or the Karma Kanda portions of the Vedas and takes the examples of Aparavidya. The purpose of the Upanishad talking about this Veda Purva or Karma Kanda is very, very clear. Now, the Upanishads, the Vedas themselves, even the Veda Purva or Karma Kanda wants people to initially follow what is said in Karma Kanda and live a life of discipline and dharma, at the same time fulfill one's ichhas and needs for artha, kama and dharma. But the ultimate purpose of Veda Purva or Karma Kanda is what? That the Veda Purva wants all of us to ultimately understand that there are limitations to Veda Purva or Karma Kanda. What does Karma Kanda talk about? Various rituals or karmas. Karmas or various rituals. Different kinds of rituals in the form of Nitya karmas, Naimitika karmas, and karmas which should not be done, Nishiddha karmas. Karmas which are necessary to fulfill a certain specific type of desire called as Kamya karmas. So the Veda Purva talks about these various kinds of karmas and various types of upasanas. So the entire Veda Purva or Karma Kanda is full of karma and upasana. What is the need for Veda Purva to talk about karma and upasana? Now we have to understand that 99% of the human jivas are interested only in fulfilling their material needs or material requirements. More than 99% of the people are interested in artha kama pursuits. We already saw purusharthas when we started. It is only the human being which has a right or a free will for purusharthas, human pursuits. Most of us prefer or select the Preyo Marga or Preyas, which was talked about in Kathopanishad. What is Preyas? Material gains in life, going after security, Artha, or fulfilling our desires, Kama, or doing certain karmas to accumulate punya so that we go to higher lokas later. Therefore, most of us are going after these three ashanas. What are the ashanas? Ashana means what? Desires. All the human desires can be clubbed into three main desires, groups of desires. Putraishana, Vittaishana, Lokeshana. Putraishana means what? Having a large family, continuing my, whatever is my progeny to continue, whatever is my, this familial lineage I want to continue. That is the first desire. Secondly, Vittaishana. I want all arthas and kamas to be abundant with me, and I want to acquire artha kamas so that I am comfortable. And then Lokeshana. Here also, I want to be in good surroundings, happy. After I die, also, I want to travel to happier lokas, higher lokas. This is the common desire of all human beings, most of them. Maybe a very, very, very rare minority, like what Bhagwan Krishna said, Manushyanam Sahasreshu Kaschidyatati Siddhaye. Those people who are wanting to go to Paravidya to free themselves totally, understanding the limitations of karma and upasana are very few, very, very few. And it is out of lives and lives of their karma and upasana that has led them to realize this. So, what does Veda Purva say? What is the purpose of Karma Kanda? The Karma Kanda or Veda Purva of the Veda says, look, I understand that most of you are interested in Artha Kama Dharma Purusharthas. At any cost, you want to fulfill your three Yeshanas, Putreshana, Vitteshana, Lokeshana. But I will give you the know how, and I will give you how to go about fulfilling your desires, how to get them properly and without transgressing dharma, so that you are able to fulfill your desires here as you want. Therefore, come to me. You want to have a child? I know. I have a ritual which I can, tell you how to do and how to. You want more money? You want more shishas? You want more security? I will tell you how you have to do that. You want to go to higher lokas? I will give you the upasanas on various deities. What kind of upasanas have to be done? How they have to be done? What kind of karmas have to be done? How they have to be done? And then with this, you will not only fulfill your karmas, at the same time, you will fulfill them dharmically without stepping on another person's toes, so that there is harmony in the society. For this reason, the Veda Purva talks about various karmas for different varnas, for different ashramas. So, varna dharmas, ashrama dharmas, what are the karmas and upasanas that can be done by various Varnas means groups, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. What are the various karmas and upasanas, that can be done by different ashramis, how they have to do, how they have to conduct themselves. All these things are talked about by Veda Purva. But then, Veda Purva itself gives its own limitations. Karma Kanda of Veda Purva very clearly makes it understood to the people that karma and upasana are mere means to an end. The means are limited, therefore, the end is also limited. Karma and upasana by itself cannot give you moksha. At the most, they can prepare you, your intellect, and make you a jnana yogya to go to the second part of the Vedas, the moksha purushartha, or go to the Vedanta. All of us are not prepared even to go to Vedanta, even to expose our intellects to Vedanta, we are not prepared. We don't have the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. We don't have the chitta shuddhi sufficiently necessary. We don't have the chitta nischayam. Therefore, Veda Purva, with all its karma and upasanas, is an excellent beginning for all of us. And what it says is, whatever phala you get out of karma and upasana is limited. Any karma will give you karma phala. And you the karma has to be done in such a way that all the minutest instructions given by the karma kanda have to be followed. So what are the limitations of Veda Purva or karma kanda? The Veda Purva itself says wherever a particular ritual is done, there are so many satellite rituals. There are so many priests that are involved. You or anything. If it is a sakama karma, if you are doing this karma for accruing or acquiring something, then it has to be done perfectly. If it is not done perfectly because of some deficiency in the Purohit who is chanting the mantras, there may be some mistakes. He might have left out certain lines, and the purohits or the advaryus or those the hotragans who are there, they may not be guiding the yajamana properly as to where to put the ahuti. So many details are there. How a homakunda should be done, what kind of fire should be lighted up, where should all the ahutis be given, what mantra should be chanted during which ahuti, which devata has to be called before everything. There are lot of do's and don'ts, and if everything goes fine, then you may get the result what you want. Otherwise, you may not get anything at all, or according to what you have done, you may get a minor result. Therefore, in Veda Purva, your karma and upasana are limited means. They are means to an end. When means are limited, the end is also limited. That is the first limitation. What is the meaning of limitation? Just like the karma lasts for a short time, a particular karma is done for a short time. Its phala also lasts for a short time. It does not last forever. It lasts for a short time. So the karma phala is anitya. The karma phala is ashashvata. The karma phala is sometimes not as to what you want, because there may be certain lopa doshas which you have done, especially in a sakama karma. Then what's the purpose of doing all this? Veda Purva itself says. See, Karma Kanda and Veda Purva are the same. So we may use one of them. So the Karma Kanda or the Veda Purva says that if you perform these karmas and upasanas as your ashrama dharma and varna dharma, nishkamataya, nishkamataya, without expecting a specific result, without a sankalpa that I want this or I want that or I want this. No, without expecting anything. I am doing it only for the sake of chitta shuddhi. What should be my sankalpa? ममोपात्त समस्त दुरित क्षय द्वारा श्री परमेश्वर प्रीत्यर्थे अहमिदं करिष्ये. Parameshwara Prityarthe, that's all. So, this particular karma, this particular upasana, as suggested by the Karma Kanda, I am doing it according to my Varna and Ashrama Dharma. I am doing whatever is necessary to be done Nishkamataya, so that I get the Chitta Shuddhi and the Chitta Naischalyam that is necessary to make me fit to go to Vedanta. So, Veda Purva or Karma Kanda has its benefits, it has got its limitations. What are the benefits? You will get the ends for which you have done it, the Sakama Karma. It may give me happiness for some time. While doing the karma itself, the drishta phala of peace and happiness is there that I have done it. Then there is adrishta phala, adrishya phala, apurva it is called as. We do not know what the apurva is. When I am going to get that phala, when that phala is going to accrue onto me, that also I do not know. It may come in this life, it may not come, it may come in some other life. So when the karma phala is going to come, what kind of a karma phala I am going to get for this particular karma and upasana, how long that phala is going to last, I have no idea. The second limitation is I may get bound to that. My whole life I may keep on doing these things without even thinking of ultimately what am I going to get out of it. So, what is the purpose of Karma Kanda? The purpose of Karma Kanda is first to give all of us the means to fulfill our desires, Sakamataya. That's the first, dharmically. Secondly, Karma Kanda also gives a few of us who have thought about the karma and karma phala. It tells us, look, you can do the same karma, same upasana. Upasana is a manasa karma. And what is Sharirika karma and Vachika karma we do, which is there in the, your usual karma that we call as karma. The same Veda Purva or Karma Kanda says, you can do these very karmas based on your Varna and Ashrama, Nishkamataya. When you do these karmas Nishkamataya, then these very karmas will prepare you for a higher end, will prepare you for the Paravidya. The third thing the Veda Purva says, after having done these rituals and upasanas given by the Veda Purva for years and lives, hopefully you may develop vairagya towards it. And what Karmakanda says is, once you develop a vairagya, you think, what have I got out of following this for so many lives or this life? Ultimately, am I certain about the phala that I am accruing? How much phala have I accrued? How much of strain I have gone through by doing this sakarma karmas, doing more and more and more rituals, so many, thousands of rituals. Ultimately, the purpose of Karma Kanda is to create a sense of Vairagya in this person. That is, Veda Purva doesn't want any of us to be sitting in that class forever. No primary school teacher wants us to sit in the primary school forever. That primary school prepares us to go further to the next level, to the high school. Similarly, even Veda Purva or Karma Kanda is not interested in keeping us captive in this forever. Ultimately, the Karma Kanda itself wants us, all of us, after having gone through this karma and upasana for a sufficient period of time, maybe lives together, to develop an inquiry and vairagya. And through the gate of vairagya, karma kanda itself leads us to the jnana kanda. What is jnana kanda? Vedanta or Upanishads. So Veda Purva has its advantages in totally unprepared people. At the same time, it has the advantage of preparing an unprepared person for the next step, Jnanakandas. Lastly, Vedapurva itself creates a gate of Vairagya through which a person can transcend or transit or progress to Jnanakanda. This is the purpose of Karmakanda or Vedapurva. And all of us have to start there, because straight away starting into in Vedanta may not be possible for most of us. And what is more attractive? Karmakanda is more attractive because it promises Yamimam Pushpitam Vadam Vadanti. Krishna said, Pushpitam Vacham, Karmakanda, this ritual you do, you get this. This homa you do, you get that. This particular, this one you do, you get that. This particular puja you do, you get this particular phala. So initially, Veda Purva lures us into this for a dharmic way of life. But the purpose of Veda Purva is to make you understand ultimately that Veda Purva or Karma Kanda has its own limitations, and I have to transcend Veda Purva and go to Vedanta. And it is ultimately the Veda Purva itself, by creating a gate of Vairagya, helps me to cross over to Vedanta. Therefore, what is now talked about in this, but all this introduction for what? So that we can go through the first 6 verses a little fast. This section, the second, the khanda of the first Mundaka, talks about this karma kanda, apara vidya in the form of Veda Purva, which has 12 verses. The first 6 to 7 verses first 6 verses talk about the glory and advantages of Vedapur, how it can help me, how it can really make me realize my artha kama purusharthas, etc. From the 7th verse, the same Vedapurva starts telling me, look, I have got my limitations. Understand the limitations of karma kanda. And the Upanishad tries to tell me the limitations of karma kanda. And in the last verse, in the 12th verse, the Upanishad talks about how the Veda Purva itself creates a gate of Vairagya through which this Karmi and this Upasaka passes through this gate of Vairagya, fully prepared Yogya for Jnana. This is the content of the section we are going to study. And as I said, the first 6 verses are only going to talk about the various karmas that are normally done. And we are not going to spend much time on this because we are not familiar with these now. And all these now have been replaced by so many other things. We have other, purta karmas are there, and then, worship in any other form. These have been replaced by, many other types of karmas. Now let us see the first mantra. What does it say? Now, first Mundaka, then we have the second section or khanda, the first mantra. Now, Tadetat Satyam Mantreshu Karmani Kavayo Yanyapashan Tani Tretayam Bahudha Santatani तान्याचरथ नियतं सत्यकामाः येषवः पन्थाः सुकृतस्य लोके. So what does it say here? Tadetat satyam. This is the truth. The Upanishad itself says, this is the reality. This is the truth. What is the truth? What is real? He says, Mantreshu karmani kavayo yani apashan. When the Vedas came along with Lord Brahma, all the mantras of the Vedas were literally seen by our rishis. Our rishis are called as drishtaras. And the meanings of the mantras were revealed to them. These rishis were revealed the meaning of all the Vedic mantras. And what did they see? In all these Veda Purva mantras, which is now going to be discussed as Aparavidya. You remember in the previous section, Rigveda, Yajurvedo, Samaveda, Atharvana Veda, and also the six Vedangas were classified under Aparaveda. So the Veda Purva of all the Vedas, the Karma Kanda of all the Vedas, and all the material sciences and Laukika Vidyas come under Aparavidya. Since we are talking about an Upanishad, here the Upanishad is not talking about any of the Laukika or material sciences, but it is talking about the Karma Kanda of all the Vedas, which is here called as Aparavidya. So, what does he say? Tadetat Satyam. The Guru said that is the truth. You have to believe, you have to have trust that whatever mantras have been told in the Veda Purva, and every mantra for which a purpose is given, the know-how of how to do that particular karma is given, the karma phala is given. All these are not cock and bull stories. These mantras, with their inherent meaning as to what each mantra can do, what each ritual can do, were given by these mantras, were seen by the mantra drishtaras or rishis. Karmani kavayo kavayaha yani apashan. A rishi is also called kavi. What is the meaning of kavi? A person who can see something much more than what a normal intellect can see. A person who can understand something much more than what a normal person of a good intelligence can understand. When these mantras were revealed to these rishis, they were called kavis because they could see, they could literally, they got revealed, revelations, they were the revelations. The Veda revealed itself to these kavis or these rishis where they saw the meanings of all these mantras. So, mantreshu karmani, what karmas are talked about in these mantras, how these karmas have to be done, how the rituals have to be done. We saw that kalpa. Now, how we saw that previous thing. What are they? The six Vedangas. We saw the six Vedangas: Shiksha, Vyakarana, Kalpa, Niruktam, Chandas, Jyotisham. We saw the six Vedangas. In that, when I gave you the description, I said Kalpa talks about the methodology of doing the karmas, the method as to how it should be done, who should chant it, how it should be chanted, which mantra should come when, what, everything is talked about kalpa, the methodology of doing a particular karma. So, mantreshu, in all these mantras that were revealed, Kavayaha Karmani Yani Apashan. They saw all these karmas. Tani Tretayam Bahudha Santatani. And they were revealed the various Veda Purva mantras of all the three Vedas. Tani Tretayam Bahudha Santatani. Tretayam means in all the three Vedas. Means Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda. It includes the Atharvana Veda also. But most of these karmas, rituals, and upasanas, predominantly being in the three Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda. Therefore, here it says Tani, those mantras, Tretayam Bahudha Santatani. These mantras are manifold. A lot of them are seen in the Veda Purva portion of the three Vedas. Tretayam Bahuda Santatani. And what does the Upanishad say? What does the Veda say? Tani acharatha niyatam satyakamaha. Satyakamaha means kamaha means those who are desirous. Satya here means karma phalas. Karma phalas are also called satyam and ritam because karma phalas remain till they are worked out. They may remain for creations together, but they will not just go away. The karma phala remains. And the person who has done a particular karma and earned a karma phala has to go through that karma phala and exhaust that karma phala. There is no other alternative for that. That is why the karma phalas are also called Satya. Ritam, Pibantam, that we'll see later in this Upanishad only. Ritam means this, karma phala. Satyam also is a word used for karma phala here. Satya kamaha, karma phala kamaha. Those who are desirous of material gains, material phala, satya kamahas for their karmas, may they follow these mantras as it is told in the mantras, niyatam, properly. There's no question of, okay, if this is not available, I will do this. If that is not possible, I will do something else. That is not there. However, it has been told, it has to be done. There are some karmas which are short and small. There are some karmas which are so long that they take months and years to complete. There are different requirements for each karma and each upasana. And that's why this Vedic karmas are, the Vedic Veda Purva karmas are said A to Z. That is from Agnihotra to Ashwamedha, it is said. Various varieties of karmas, small and big and long and short, and so many types of karmas are there. And therefore he says, Tani acharatha, whatever you want. You want this particular thing? Okay. Karma Kanda has a way out for you. So whatever you want, tani acharatha, those karmas, tani karmani acharatha. May you, those who are interested in accruing the material benefits of these karmas, may they follow whatever is given in these three Vedas, in the Veda Purva portion, in the particular mantras regarding whatever specifically they want to attain. But remember that these are means to an end. In Veda Purva, the means are limited, the karma is limited, upasana is limited, the doer of the karma is limited, the doer of the upasana is limited. Therefore, the end result, whatever you get as karma phala, is also limited. Tani acharatha satyakama yeshavaha panthaha sukrutasya loke. So, O seekers of happiness, okay, O seekers of karma phala, yeshaha pantha, these are the means, the well performed rituals as told in the karma kanda are the means. For what? Sukrutasya lokehe. When sukrutasya means when it is properly done, as it is described in the Veda Purva or Karma Kanda, it is what? It is a means to attaining or gaining the results you want. Therefore, what is being said here is then the first verse, what is being said is that Veda Purva is something which can be, it is it is the most reliable way of fulfilling your desires. That is the only way, that is the only part which assures you that if followed properly as given in the mantras, there is no way that you cannot get the results of it. If you have not got it, it is because you have not done it properly, or this adrishya or apurva which is accumulated to you, when it is going to manifest, you don't know. It may not be in this life and you may not be there. In the next life, you may not even know for what purpose you are getting these particular phalas. Therefore, he says that those who are interested may follow that. And most of us are interested in that. Most of the people are interested in only artha kama purusharthas, dharma purusharthas, for attaining our three eshanas, for fulfilling our three eshanas, desires, three desires, that is putreshana, lokeshana, and vitteshana. Then he says, there are ways of doing it, and it has to be done properly. If it is not done as described in the Veda Purva, you may not get the result that you are desiring for. So, he says, the Guru says in the next mantra, he says, Yada lelayate hyarchihi समिद्धे हव्यवाहने तदा आज्यभागावन्तरेण आहुतिः प्रतिपादये. So here fire rituals are being talked about. So what he says that in any of this ritual, a fire ritual, yada lelayate hi archihi, when a properly kindled fire, a properly started fire becomes a proper conflagration of well lit fire. Archihi means a well lit fire, lelayate, when it literally the well lit fire with all its tongues dances around lelayate, that is the time when the ahutis are to be given, when the havis have to be given, and it has to be put into this Agni Havyavahane. Havyavahana is another name for Agni. So we are not going to deal in detail with this because it may not be much, relevant to us now. So he says, Yada lelayate hi archihi. When a properly lit fire is bright and it is really moving with all its tongues, it will come later what kind of tongues they are. In that, in the particular portion, tada ajya bhagavantarena, in a particular portion, the ahuti or the havis has to be given, calling the particular devata. And who is this Havyavahana? Agni is called as Havyavahana, the courier, who accepts your havis and hands it over to the devata whom you have called. Supposing it is a havis given to Indra Devata, the Agni Devata carries that to Indra, carries that to Apayu, to whichever Devata you have called. This Agni takes in the Sukshma particular Devata for which whom you are trying to, you know, worship through this particular yajna or this karma. And he says that one has to give these ahutis like that. That means what? Even how well the fire should be lit, in which part of the fire the ahuti has to be given, when it has to be given, what is the mantra that is to be chanted when this ahuti is given, what kind of an ahuti it is. For different karmas there are different ahutis that are given. What are they that should be? Everything is given in these mantras. So when I'm doing a particular karma, the very same, the thing, that has to be followed, the procedure has to be followed without any fail. So ahuti hi pratipadaye. So whenever a ritual is done, starting from the Homakunda up till offering the ahutis in certain parts of the fire, everything has to be followed as it has been mentioned. He's just mentioning here as to what are the things that are expected out of you. Then in the next verse, in the third verse, the Vedapurva talks about, this Upanishad talks about the simplest of the karmas which a grahastha is supposed to do from the day he gets married. It is called as the Agnihotra karma. And Agnihotra karma is something which has to be done every day, and it has to be done throughout the life till this person is alive. And it is considered by Vedapurva that Agnihotra karma is the simplest of the karmas. At the same time, this Agnihotra karma is also associated with certain satellite karmas. So, what is said here in the mantra 3 and mantra 4, which the 3 and 4, we can take them together. Mantra 3, we'll take the 3 only separately. In mantra 3, what he says is that if a person does the Agnihotri karma, as is to be done by a grahastha every day, but does not follow the satellite small karmas that are supposed to be done along with this, then he will not get the results of that Agnihotra karma. That is what he wants. That means If a particular karma needs to be done, it has to be done properly. Now you may ask me, or you may ask the Vedas, it is as long as a sakama karma is concerned. If it is a nishkama karma, anyway, I am asking for chitta shuddhi and chitta nishchanya. Mamopata samasta durita kshaya dvara. I am doing this Agnihotri karma as my varnashrama dharma. I am doing it. I am not expecting any kind of a material benefit out of it, but I am expecting only a chitta shuddhi out of it. If that is my intention as a nishkama karma, then I am not worried about the phalam. But then, if you are doing this as a sakama karma, for either getting higher lokas later or for gathering punya for this particular life, then the Agnihotra has to be done properly. And here he says, this Agnihotra karma, which is supposed to be the most common and the simplest and the day to day karma, daily karma that is done, Nitya karma, if it is not followed by whatever is given here, mentioned here, then the Agnihotra karma will have no effect at all. So what does he say? Yasyagnihotram adarsham apaurnamasam achaturmasyam anagrayanam atitivarjitam cha ahutam avaishvadevam avidhinahutam asaptamanstasya lokan hinasti. So what this says is that Agnihotra karma has to be done along with some other satellite karmas. What are they? He says, Darsha and Paurnamasa karmas are there. That is when you are doing Agnihotra karma daily. On Amavasya day, you are supposed to do something else along with Agnihotra. Paurnamasa. On the Purnima, you are supposed to do something else along with this Agnihotra karma. Chaturmasyam. Once in 4 months, you have to do something else as a satellite karma with Agnihotra karma. Then Agrayanam. That is Agrayanam. Agrayanam means during the times of harvest and when a new crop is got, that new crop has to be offered as a part of the karma of the of the Agnihotra karma. Then Atithi Pujanam. Atithis have to be fed. Every day one Atithi has to be fed according to our scriptures. Atithi is the one who has come without giving prior notice. So a person who has come at the time of lunch or food and you give that and you eat that. So this Agnihotra has to be associated with even Atithi karma, that is feeding the Atithi. Then he says, if Agnihotra is done without darsha, that is without the Amavasya ritual, adarsham, apaurnamasa, without doing the Purnima, whatever we have to do that particular time, achaturmasyam, and Agnihotra karma done daily without the 4 monthly ritual which has to be done along with this. Then asya agrayanam means that which is not done with this offering of these newly harvested fruits and vegetables and dhanya and everything. Atiti varjitam, where atitis are not fed. Ahutam, or when it is not followed at all, when Agnihotra is not done at all, or avaishvadevam, when Vishwadevas are not worshipped along with this. See, so many satellites. One simple Agnihotra karma, all these are there. So, what he says is that if these associated satellite karmas are not done along with your daily Agnihotra karma by a grahastha, then asaptamans tasya lokan hinasti. That means what is there? You don't get any karma phalas. Basically, it says all the 7 lokas are not there for you. What it means is whatever you are doing this for, it is not there for you. So, if you are really doing these karmas, they have to be done along with all these things. If I don't do with these satellite karmas, then this main karma has lost its significance. And whatever punya phala it can give me, if I'm doing it sakamataya, it cannot give me. Now you may ask, then nishkamataya I do, then I don't do any of these satellite, this uh, uh, kriyas or karmas. I do only the simple this one. Will it do? That may also not do, because Agnihotra has to be done with all these things. This is how the mantras go. So either you do it properly, if you don't do it properly, then you're not going to get any phala out of it. Now, this is showing us that we will get what we want, but we have to follow each and every step of what Veda Purva says. And ultimately, one's whole life as a grahastha, so much time is taken by these things. This is not the only thing. Then there's your Sandhya Vandana is there. So many things are there in the life of a Grahastha. But then what is the purpose of Veda Purva? By these, this Grahastha gets his mind prepared for the next stage, for the next step of Vedanta. He gets prepared for it. That is the ultimate purpose of the Vedas. Therefore, he says that if this particular thing, if this particular simple Agnihotra karma also, as an example, he is giving, if it is not done the way it is prescribed, then it is not going to give any results to you. And next, just because in the previous verse, the Upanishad said, well lit fire, you have to offer the ahutis. Well lit fire. What is the meaning of well lit fire? That is what he is going to talk about in the fourth mantra. In the fourth mantra, the well lit fire is talked about. It is said that when a fire is well lit, that means the fire is ready for that particular karma. It is supposed to have 7 kinds of flames. They're called as the tongues. Naturally, we call them, even in English, we call that, tongue of fire. Why do we call these flames as the tongues of fire? Like a tongue swallows anything that is put on it, fire swallows anything that is put into it. Like the tongues, they come and swallow. Therefore, a well lit fire is supposed to have 7 types of flames, and the names of these flames are given here. We have nothing to do. We can see actually, when we see this, next time when you witness any homa, any of you, just try to see whether you can find these kind of 7 kinds of tongues that are mentioned in this Upanishad. You find they are there. All these types of flames are there in a well lit fire for home. So, what are those 7 flames? And the 7 flames, why they are talking about this? It only because what is the meaning of the fire fully active for this particular karma? And where the particular ahuti should be given, for that it should be a well lit fire. And what is the meaning of this well lit fire? That is given here. 7 types of flames which are called as tongues. So here in the fourth verse it says, Kali Karali Manojavacha Sulohita Yacha Sudhumravarna Sphulingini Vishwaruchi Cha Devi Lelayamana iti Sapta Jihva. The Sapta Jihvas of fire, the 7 tongues of fire. So, what is the meaning of Kali? A bluish black flame called as the Kali, a bluish black flame. And that happens because of some moisture which is left in the twigs which are put once the fire is lit. Then we put the dry twigs to keep the fire running. So if there's some moisture in the twigs, it gives a blue black colored flame, Kali. Karali. What is the meaning of Karali? The terrible one, the scary one. And how does it look? It suddenly appears and disappears. We have seen sometimes in fire, Suddenly there appears a flame, and you even go back sometimes. If you are staying very close to the fire, suddenly a flame comes and it literally pushes you back if you are standing near them. That is called as Karali, the terrible one or the scary one. Manojava. Manojava means a flame which comes swiftly, moves swiftly and goes, like our mind, which swiftly goes here and there, like the thoughts which keep coming swiftly and changing. This flame, this third one, just comes and goes very swiftly. Then we have Sulohita. Sulohita means a crimson colored, dark red, crimson colored flame. Orangish red, crimson colored flame. That is called as Sulohita. Yacha Sudhumra Varna. Sudhumra Varna means ashy, ash colored, very ash grayish colored one, ash colored one. Then we have Spullingini, the one which sparkles, the flame from which the sparks come out, Pullingiri. Vishwaruchi cha Devi. That means what? Vishwaruchi means all over, and then the shining one. The shining one which is seen are the seven types of the flames. And when we see all the seven types of flames, which are Lelayamana, those are actively, they are moving about. Lelayamana means when they are vibrating or moving about. When we see all these seven flames, the meaning is that this fire is ready to receive the oblation. And it happens even now. All of us can recognize all these flames. We should make it, I used to think, let me see. I've really seen all these seven flames. So Kali, Karali, Manojava, Sulohita, Sudhumravarna, Spullingini, Vishwaruchi cha Devi. Vishwaruchi cha Devi is, those two words refer to only one, the shining one, Devi, which is Vishwaruchi, which is all over, which is seen all over. We don't need to buy heart these names. It's not necessary. Because as I said, in this, the Veda Purva is talking about certain rituals, the advantages of Veda Purva, the disadvantages or the limitations of Veda Purva, and what is ultimately the purpose of Veda Purva. That is all is the content of this second section of the first Mundaka. So, what is Veda Purva or Karma Kanda? What can it give me? What it cannot give me? What are the limitations? And ultimately, what it can lead me to. So, this is the well lit fire which we were talking about. Then I think the fifth verse, we don't have enough time for that. We will take it up in the next session. We'll take up the fifth verse and onwards we'll take up. The most important mantra in this chapter, in this section, is the 12th mantra. In this section, the last mantra is the most important one. That we will take up in more detail. Whereas the other ones, we can just see the meaning of it and move forward. ॐ नन्दन्तु साधका सर्वे विनश्यन्तु विदूषकाः अवस्थाशाम्भवी मेस्तु प्रसन्नोऽस्तु गुरुः सदा सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखमाप्नुयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः ॐ तत्सत्